Hi everyone, my name is Rita, and today I'm going to help you get more comfortable with free motion quilting. As quilters, we all start out doing straight line quilting, whether it's stitching in the ditch or echoing a design. But there comes a time when we all start to wonder, how easy is it to actually free motion quilt? I know you're going to hate hearing this, but it just takes practice. Practicing can mean doodling on paper to help you build your muscle memory. You know how we all have something we can do without even thinking about it? It could be anything from making a recipe to reading music, even knowing all the words to your favorite song. That all comes easy because you kept doing it over and over. It became muscle memory. The same thing happens when you free motion quilt. You learn the feel for how your machine works, just how far you have to push that pedal down to make your machine go slow or fast, how to stop for a beat at the corners so they're pointy and not rounded, and how you need to keep going and make perfectly smooth curves. Practicing these techniques becomes easier if you have some designs you can put on a quilt sandwich to stitch out. When you're first learning to free motion quilt, stencils are going to be your friend. From there, you can branch out and start adding little extras like a swirl here or a flare there. There's no right or wrong design. It's all unique and everyone has their own style. Yes, even you. So first what we need to do is we need to set up our machine for free motion quilting. Quite often, if you have a machine, you can cover your feed dogs. There'll be a little gadget with your machine that'll do that. Or there's a button that you can press that will lower your feed dogs. Either way, you cannot use your feed dogs when you are free motion quilting on your domestic machine. Those do need to be covered up. The feed dogs want to advance your fabric, and you don't want to do that. You want to be the one to advancing your fabric, whatever direction you're going to go. So somehow those need to be either dropped down or covered up. So once you get that done, make sure that you put your free motion foot on your machine. And typically it's like a little hole, like a little round hole, and it's a hopping foot type of thing. Your machine manual will tell you. So I've got my machine all set up that way here. Now I need to work on the surface. So there's a couple different things that you can do for the surface. I have on here what is called So Slick, and it is a mat. It's a silicone mat. It is tacky on this side, so it stays on my machine. As you can see, it's not slipping, and it has a little hole here cut out so the thread can go through easily, no problem. It even does, it's a rectangle here, and it allows, if I wanted to do have my feed dogs up and like stitch in the ditch, and I was doing a big quilt and I needed that extra slip. This one here is big enough to do that. I don't need to worry about that today. My feed dogs are down and I can just free motion stitch easily on this. The other thing you can do is if you don't have a So Slip mat, that's like a tongue twister, right? You can use like a silicone spray. And this is just like a spray. You put it on here, read the instructions on the can, and you just, it makes your surface a lot more slippery. I'm using the Slow Slip today, so I won't need this. The next thing is when you're free motion quilting, there's lots of different gloves that you can use or something to grip your fingertips with. Because quite often, if you just have the fabric there, your fingers kind of want to slide across that fabric. So I prefer to use gloves. And there's a few of these gloves on the market. These are just a couple pair. This is Machinger's. This is Sullivan's brand. There are so many different brands on the market. These are just two of them. So I typically use a pair of these gloves here. Sometimes I also use what are called hoops, quilting hoops. And these are really nice as well. They come in an 11-inch size and an 8-inch size. And they're really nice because there's a little groove in here that you can get your foot in. So it can just slide it in like that and it can get it in there. But it has these handles. These handles allow me to hold the fabric and move this hoop around. The fabric grips this part right here, this special, I'm not sure exactly what the technical name is for that, but it grips the fabric. And as you can see, I can't move it on this. It's holding it tight. So this is another good way to free motion quilt using these. And I will show you a technique using these as well as with the gloves. So let's just put these aside for right now. Okay, so I have some quilt sandwiches here that I am ready to quilt, and I just wanted to show you here. So now we have this one here with that I've done registration lines on with the quilt counts. And this is just if you have your own design, but you just kind of need some guidelines because you want to make sure that they're all even the same way. So we can just do, say, little S's back and forth, but you need to know little swirls like that, right? Without the registration lines, they could be all wonky all over the place. So that's one way of marking your quilt and figuring out how to free motion quilt. If you're really good, you don't even need to draw it on here. You can just go ahead and do it. Sometimes you come up with designs that are a little more complicated and you need to draw them out. So let's try. Let me get all set up here now for some free motion quilting, and I will show you the stitching part of it. Okay, so I'm all set up here now at my machine. I've got my quilting gloves on. That's how I prefer to quilt. And we're going to start here. So as you follow along, when you first start free motion quilting, you need to draw up your bottom thread. So I'm going to put the presser foot down like that, and I'm going to just put the needle down once. What I want to do, and I'm going to lift up the presser foot again, I need to draw up the bottom bobbin. I'm just going to pull it out like that. And so as you can see where it is, now I need to place my needle back in that same spot. So I'm going to put my presser foot down again and just hand rotate my needle down into that one spot. I'm going to gently hold this thread right here and take a few stitches in place to lock the threads. And then I'm going to just go around and I'm going to follow this leaf pattern design. Now I stopped there because I want to trim these threads off. These threads are going to get in my way. So I'm just going to trim those off. And one thing to keep in mind about free motion quilting is you're going to follow that design as best as you can. You don't need to go exactly that design. If you're a little bit off, no one's going to notice. What you want to do is get the basic shape. Once this design is gone and disappeared, whether you iron it off or you wash it off, no one's going to know. And also, just another handy tip is the faster you go, the easier it is to make the curves. The slower you go, you're going to have pointy parts in your circles and your curves, and that's not going to look right. So just make sure, go fast, don't go too fast, and that's the key. You just need to practice. So here we go. So now I've done this outline here, but as you can see, I kind of missed that part, but no one's going to know. So don't worry. Now I'm getting to the stem, and the stem is like one line. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to this part right here, and I'm going to come back down. It doesn't have to be on the same line. It can be just a little bit away from that line. And then I'm going to come down here and go back up again. So let's try that. I just did a few extra stitches to lock it in place again. I'm going to bring my needle up. I'm going to lift up my presser foot, and there I go. Oops, caught the thread on the bottom. There you go. My design is done. And that is just as easy as free motion gets. You just need to keep practicing. This one is more like a pantograph pattern. It's an all over design. And this one I'm going to use the hoop for. I'm going to use the small hoop for this one to show you how that works. So I'm just going to slide it in here like that, because first you need to get the hoop in the range here. So, and then we need to find where it starts. So it starts right there. So that's where I need to draw my thread up. So I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to take one stitch, turn that flywheel, get one stitch. I'm going to draw up the bobbin thread just like that. Oops. And then I'm going to put my presser foot down again and put the needle right in that spot. Take another stitch. Okay, and what I can do is I can take this thread and I can put it underneath, because this has a grippy thing that grips the fabric. As you can see, it grips the fabric really well. I don't even need the gloves for this. I'm going to take them off. Okay, so I am going to start here and I'm going to follow this design. Now, as you can see, the hoop got in my way, so I just have to stop. All I got to do is pick up the hoop and move it over. Just going to cut off these tails here first, like that. And now I can continue going. And the beautiful thing with free motion quilting is I can turn it any way I want. If I want to have it coming towards me like this, where I can see better, I can do that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just hold gently on these little knobs here, and this is what's going to guide my fabric. I'm not doing this, I'm using this. So here we go. I need to position over and continue on. Just like that. Now it's getting a little bit harder for me to see again. So I am going to turn this around, just like that. Now I can go this way. And I'm going to lift up my hoop. Now I need to do the butterfly. So I'm just going to go like this. And I just need to move it over. Okay, so as you can see, I can just move this around whatever way I want. And as you also can see, I didn't follow the lines all the way. I got a little bit here, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't touch the lines. So as long as you don't touch the lines, you're doing good. You can just go on like this. Whoops, move this out of the way. Here's one here. So if I would have followed this line, I would have gotten really close to the stitching line right here. Let's see here. See how I went just kind of further away here? If I would have followed this stitching line right there, it would have touched and it wouldn't have looked right. But because I've sort of spaced them out evenly, it doesn't look like there's a problem at all. And that's basically what free motion quilting is. You just kind of wing it in a way, follow the designs as best as you can, but not exactly. And there you go. That's all it is to free motion quilting. You just got to doodle and practice some more. Okay, so I'm back here now and I have a new quilt sandwich, and this one just has registration marks on it. This is a design that I have to think of in my head that I haven't done yet on here. And quite often, if you're, know free motion quilting, you've done it for a long time, you have an idea and you don't really want to mark it out, I'm going to do that. Basically, I'm just going to do a little spider web on this design here. So I don't feel I need to mark it out. I'm just going to go for it. So here we go. I am going to, again, put my press your foot down, put my needle down, and draw up the bobbin thread. Just like that. Put my press your foot down again, because it's very important to have both of these threads coming up from the top. Then you just hold them in place, just taut, not tight. Take a few stitches in place, and then you can go ahead and start stitching. But now I'm going to cut these threads because now they're getting in my way. Oops. Okay, so it's not a great spider web. So as you can see, it just takes practice. See how it got a little bit tight here in the beginning and I wasn't doing it that great to start with? It got a little bit better as I went along. I haven't done this spider web for a long time, and so I was a little bit out of practice, and this is what I mean by muscle memory. I need to practice doing this on paper and just getting the rhythm of how a spider web looks like. But once you get that done, you're good to go. So see, everyone just needs a little bit of practice. Thank you for watching, and if you liked what you saw, please click the subscribe link to be notified of more fun things to come. See you next time. Happy sewing.